Now, here's more of the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show on the Big Talker, 1250 WTMA.
Welcome back to the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show, heard Saturdays at 9 and Sundays at 10 here on the Big Talker, 1250 WTMA. Thanks so much for continuing along with us as we talk about the real estate market. And I always want to take a little bit of time every show and just say thank you to those of you that listen to this program and that rely on its advice to help you formulate your opinions of the real estate market, plan for success when it comes time to buy, sell, or invest in real estate. And I get a lot of calls after the show, typically, of people that just need help with something that, hey, I need a good contractor, or what would you do in this particular situation? And here's a question I get a lot: how soon is too soon to start planning for my move? And I'm here to tell you that, any real estate agent out there that's doing a massive amount of business is going to have this big database of people, right? And that database is going to represent people in all different stages of the home buying and home selling process. I can tell you because it's a database. I know the exact number if I wanted to share it, on air, but we have a bunch, I'll just put it that way, plethora, if you will, of people that would sell their house right now if we brought them a buyer. They just don't feel like having it on the market. We have a plethora of people that over the course of the next 12 months will be putting their home on the market. We call that shadow inventory. And then, of course, we have this huge group of buyers that are looking to purchase a home at some point between now and 5-10 years from now. And so the answer to that question is, it is never too soon. If I know that you would ideally like to move in 6 months, and I go into my database and I look around, because everything is very organized. I'm an organizational freak, kind of, with my database. And I say, okay, well, if this person is selling a home in this area, in this price range, with this bedrooms, bathroom square footage, who do I have in my database that will be looking for that, where that time frame somewhat matches? And then, boom, my system automatically compiles a list of everybody that would fit that criteria. And then we just pick up the phone and we say, hey, we just met somebody new that's thinking of selling their home in 6 months, but blah, blah, blah. You get the point. So if that's something we can help you with, feel free to give me a call. My number is 843-345-1273, or text me, 843-345-1273, or go to my website, listingsincharleston.com. That's listingsincharleston.com. Now, I want to talk a little bit about, why overpricing your house is a mistake. And everybody wants to sell a house quickly and at the highest price possible. But let's face the facts. Homes that stay on the market longer than usual tend to sell at lower prices. I mean, the trick is, figuring out the best price without overpricing your listing. And with the scarcity of homes on the market, like we just reviewed, there are a ton of homeowners out there that are still making the mistake of overpricing their homes, either because they believe that overpricing leaves more room for negotiation, or their agents just pushing them to list at that inflated price, which is happening a bunch this year, has been for years, because they're competing with other agents for the business. And buyers, by the way, are educated these days. For the most part, they know what they want. They have a good handle on values, and now more so than ever, they have access to a ton of data. And they're impatient, by the way, which can be a good thing or a bad thing, depending upon how you look at it. But if they see a home that's overpriced, they might think that the sellers are unreasonable, which can sometimes cause them to shy away from making an offer or going through several rounds of negotiations that take a bunch of time. If they're ready, willing, and able, and they want to buy something now, I think the point is they just might not give you the time of day. And I think that's true. In addition to that, overpriced homes, really, they just lower your possibility of a multiple offer situation or a bidding war. Something that is still somewhat common in our market, especially if you look in the lower price range portions of our market. And by lower price range, I'd say, $300,000 and below. Those are still selling incredibly fast. There is a ton of competition in that area of our market. You go to, Mount Pleasant, 700,000 plus, it's a slightly different story. Now, if we're talking deep water, then those things still sell pretty fast. But, there's all these different pockets within our local market that are hot, cold, and somewhere in between. So it's unfair for me to say that our market is hot or our market is cold or it's shifting. All I can say that our market is different depending upon where you're looking. And so when you lower your ability to receive multiple offers, the first 2 to 3 weeks your home is listed is considered prime time for selling, because that's when the home is essentially being marketed to two different groups of people. Group number one are those people that are ready, willing, and able to buy right now. They are scouring the internet. They are looking for that next best listing. They just haven't found what they're looking for yet. And then you have the other group of people, the people that enter the market every day. Something has changed in their life, and now they are ready to buy a house in the Charleston area. They got a new job and they're moving here. They just find out that they're having their third child, and now they need at least a 4-bedroom home. Now they're downsizing, and they're thinking, okay, well, our kids are off in college now. We don't need this 4,000 square foot home anymore. Let's go down to something a little more reasonable, more manageable. And let's take some of this time and this money that we have, and let's go travel, whatever the case might be. But you get my point. And so on average, let's say about 2 months on the market, homes are going to start selling for less than the original asking price. You have proven that the home is not worth that amount, unless it's a very specialized property. But usually within the first, I'd say, no more than 4 to 6 weeks, you have exhausted group number one. Everybody that's ready, willing, and able to buy a house right now has seen it. Now, this is all assuming that your agent is actually marketing your property well. But even if they're not, and I want to be really clear on this, even if they're not, at least the other agents have seen the property in the MLS. Now, don't get me wrong. There is a ton that we as real estate agents can do to create exposure for your house. The fact remains, the overwhelming majority of closings come from other real estate agents that are representing their client, as opposed, of course, to the listing agent finding the buyer directly through their own marketing efforts. You know why? Because there are 7,000 agents out there and one of me. Well, technically 21 of my team. Now, do we end up showing our own listings a lot? Absolutely. Do we end up generating a ton of leads on our listings? Absolutely, because we have an awesome marketing plan. And if you want to learn more about it, I'm happy to talk to you about it off air. But the point is, in 4 to 6 weeks, you know whether you're positioned correctly or not. And so when trying to decide if your home is overpriced, you need to ask yourself a few questions, or at least keep these things in mind. Have we had multiple showings? Have any of those showings been repeat showings? Second or third showings from the same person? Or is everybody that has come through so far said, no thanks? What is it they're saying about the house? What is the number one most challenging piece of feedback you're getting that you're struggling to overcome? And I'm not talking about didn't like the floor plan, because you can't do anything about that. Are there consistent messages that either your agent isn't getting because they're not calling those agents and asking those questions? Are they not relaying it to you, the seller? Or are you, the seller, just unwilling to do anything about it? Have you gotten any offers? How long at this point have you been on the market, and how long are you waiting to be on the market or willing to be on the market before you make some sort of adjustment? And here's I think, one of the reasons why, even though the number of price reductions is increasing right now, why so many agents fear this conversation with their seller. Because they don't want to lose your business. If they walked in and they said, oh yeah, we could, let's try this number. I feel very confident that we can get you extremely close to that price. And now here it is 4 weeks, and you've signed a 6-month listing agreement with this agent, and they're like, oh gosh, we're just, the agent's thinking in the back of their mind, we're not going to sell this house for this price. There's no way. I've got to get this price down if I want to sell it. But I have to wait a while because I made all these promises to this seller about it being able to sell for this amount, and I don't want them to think that I just said this price to get their business, and then I sneak back in 3 weeks later and say, hey, all right, now let's get real. You need to reduce your price by 10%. No agent wants to have that conversation, and shame on the agent for putting themselves in that position in the first place, because that's not a very professional way of approaching the sale of somebody's most expensive asset, more than likely. But it happens all the time because there isn't a lot of inventory out there for agents to get. And like I explained, the more signs an agent has in the yard, the more potential they have to sell more homes to more buyers or leverage those listings to get more listings that they might actually be able to sell. It's a wicked, wicked little game that goes on behind the scenes in this industry. And so one of the great questions you can ask is, of the homes that you list, how many do you actually sell? Wouldn't that be a good statistic to know? If they say, well, 10%, you're going to say, get out. I'm looking for a different real estate agent, one that actually produces results. I'm not looking for a lister. I'm looking for a seller. So when your home is overpriced and you don't do anything about it, it creates stagnation. It creates this perception in the mind of buyers that something's wrong with that house. Or if you haven't reduced your price because it is such a strong seller's market, clearly it's not worth that. And or you're just an unreasonable person to deal with. So I'm going to just wait for something else to hit the market, because in order for that house to be of interest to me, it's going to have to be $20,000 less, because that's what I think it's worth. And that's what I'd be willing to pay for it. And I just don't think the seller's going to go for that. So I'd rather not force it, and I'd rather just wait and see if something else hits the market that I like a little better. That's what they're thinking. So pricing is an incredibly important conversation. We spend a lot of time on it when we're on our listing appointments with our sellers. And, we are very clear that if they're interviewing multiple agents, I'm not going to inflate my price just to get the listing. I'm here to tell you my opinion on price. And if you choose to go above that, that's your choice, and we can craft a strategy around it. But I'm not going to push my own perception of price upward, because I know that other people are going to be doing the same thing, and then therefore I need to create a level playing field for myself. That's not how it works. I walk away from almost as many listings as I take, because I can't help people at those prices, and they're not willing to come down to a price that's reasonable to get the home sold, which is kind of a scary thought, considering how many people out there want to sell their home but have totally unrealistic opinions of value of their house. And as a result of that, they are preventing themselves from moving on to the next chapter of their lives. And to fuel that fire, other agents are willing to tell them, oh yeah, we can try that price. Sure, I think that we stand a really good chance of getting it. And then they don't. And then you start to see all of these listings expire from the market, which we're also seeing. And it just creates even more of an issue and a shift in the market, which is kind of the recurring theme of this program. So when we come back, I've got a little bit more to share with you guys. Thanks so much for sticking with me. Again, if you want to reach out to me, you want to talk about selling your house, I have some strategies that are incredibly effective that help us sell our homes for 98.5% of asking price in 19 days on average. So listingsincharleston.com is the website, listingsincharleston.com, or give me a call, 843-345-1273. That's 843-345-1273. Stick around. We'll be right back.
It's the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show. Broadcast Saturday mornings at 9 and Sunday mornings at 10 on the Big Talker, 1250 WTMA.